self-defense against the knife. And in this case, I want to talk about the one weapon that's not a gun that you can carry with you just about everywhere. It doubles as a walking stick or a hiking stick. This one happens to be very long, 72 inches. It's a little bit longer than that maybe. And it's 1.25 inches in diameter. And it's made out of an extremely hard wood. It's red oak. So this is very hard, but this could be anything. A long martial arts staff. This is a Japanese bow. Any long martial arts stick, long martial arts staff is going to give you reach advantage over the knife. So we talk about how to self-defense against the knife. This is the second episode. Last time we talked about the Joe, which is a shorter one. Hello, Happy New Year. This one has a distinct reach advantage. It's very long compared to the knife. So the goal is to take this 6-foot pole and stick it right through their middle. Stick it right in his face, stick it in his body, make him get around this staff in order to get close enough to stick this knife into the body or slice or whatever, slash whatever he's trying to do to harm you. So the goal is to learn how to use in the most effective, practical way possible the long martial arts staff, walking stick, hiking stick, a piece of pipe. Maybe it's a broom handle or a mop handle, whatever you can find. And that's the way I love fighting with sticks so much, because there are sticks everywhere. You can find sticks just about anywhere, everywhere you are. And if you see this, if this happens to come out, it's aimed toward you, and you can pick up something that gives you, again, reach advantage. And then the second thing after reach advantage is just the ability to generate maximum striking power. Happy New Year. Your goal is to use leverage, use what you have naturally, your body, your natural strength, and then lever that or give yourself an advantage, because you now are generating extra force, extra power. Well, almost smashed the lights out above me. More reach, more speed, more devastating stopping power. He's got a knife, you've got a long stick. So if you're wondering, can you defend yourself with a martial arts staff, a long staff, a Japanese bow, or any other style? Maybe it's the Korean jangbong or the Chinese gun, but it doesn't matter. It could be, again, a broomstick. It can be a mop. As long as you have some piece of wood, metal, PVC pipe, anything, it's better than your hand. When the knife comes out and they start to slash, it's gonna slice everything up, or they start to stab. They wanna go in and get all that stuff lacerated. You can't come back from that. So you have this stick. We're gonna talk about how to use it, but I wanna talk about it as a force multiplier. So this is your natural force, your natural strength. This is gonna multiply your ability to strike, to do devastating damage to the attacker for self-defense. First though, I want you to learn how to warm up so you can stay safe from injury during your workouts. And when you strengthen your body in training, when you prepare properly, this is all about preparation before you need it. And someone pulls out that knife and you pick up a stick, or maybe you're walking with your hiking pole or a hiking stick, or maybe you have the long staff and you don't mind walking around your neighborhood or your town carrying that. Or maybe you go for a hike out in the woods and then you see, somebody come along the path, you don't feel comfortable, but you have that big stick. You have a lot of options. But I want you to learn how to strengthen properly your wrists, your arms, your fingers. Stay safe from injury in the workout, but also build wicked strength, grip strength, power in your hands. That's going to help for other self-defense styles, for your guard, for grappling, for your striking, everything that you do in martial arts or self-defense. You don't have to be a martial artist to defend yourself. Anytime you fight for self-defense, you need to be fighting fit. You have to have strong hands, wrists, arms, shoulders, and this is gonna do that. So I'm gonna do this 30 seconds. I want time under tension. That means I really wanna work the muscles in here and get the blood flowing to lubricate the joint. Then I'm gonna go to the other side. All the joints, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. I'm going side to side, back and front, even the finger joints. It's gonna give you stronger, healthier hands at every age, doesn't matter your age. So you're gonna do this for 30 seconds, another 30 seconds, and we're gonna go right into practical strikes. How do you defend yourself? How to self-defense against the knife, episode 2. This workout, I want you to get started right away after a little bit of strengthening warm-up. I want you to get into the practical moves, which are all gonna be based on principles of self-defense, practical tactics, practical techniques Practical moves that you can do to immediately pick up any stick. I'm going to move you just a second so you can see the bag and defend yourself. Now, we're going to call this bag the threat. This bag is a person, imagine, they got a knife, right? And there's the blade end. The second reason that you're going to use this stick for self-defense, instead of your hands, instead of your body, instead of trying to guard yourself and strike, if you have to, you have to. But if you don't, if you can pick up a stick, see that, and that might mark it a little bit, but it's not bleeding. It's not going to bleed. You do that to your skin. Worse still, they get in there and they cut some tendons, they cut some muscle. Worse yet, they get in there and cut a vein or an artery. You're in big, big trouble. Or, God forbid, they close the distance and they stick that in places it's not supposed to be. You're in big trouble. So we're going to defeat the knife using the long martial arts stick, walking stick, hiking stick, whatever it is that you have, because you have that reach advantage. The first thing I want you to see is just a direct strike, a direct attack, or a position that forces them to move around that length of the stick. Now, the nice thing about the bow, or the Japanese bow, in this case the long martial arts staff, is that I can increase that distance. And so instead of having 1, 2 feet, I can have 3 feet, I can have 4 feet, I can have almost 5 feet between me and the person with the knife. And that's what I want you to think about. So from here, it's in your front hand. You're going to point your thumb at the threat, making them navigate, get around. They're not going to stab your stick, right? They're not going to punch your stick. They might try to grab it, but that's okay too. I'm going to show you how to defeat that if they grab it. But the point is, they're trying to get to you, trying to get to your body, your organs, slicing or stabbing. So from here, now they got to get around your stick. From here, the first thing you're going to do immediately, as fast as possible, is just thrust. And you're going to push both hands, nice tight grip. That's why we did this warm up. Nice tight grip, pushing straight through. Now, how did I get here? From here, you simply will point your thumb. When you point your thumb, it lifts it into the back hand. Take a nice firm grip. From me to the threat, thrust. You need to thrust and push. See how that extends? Ideally, you're extending through his throat for self-defense, through his nose, through his eyes, his face, his teeth, smashing the teeth down their throat. Maybe into the solar plexus, or even lower, into the groin. Maybe it's a vicious dog, into its snout, into its mouth, into its nose. Get them off of you. It's your right to defend yourself. From here, so in the front hand, technique number 1, point, thrust. And when you thrust, either just push or slide and push. Put two things together. Think of a pull cue, striking, push it, and then turn your hands over. This locks that in place, especially if they're coming forward, you thrust, pushing them back, striking. That's number 1. Now let's talk about the principles of self-defense while I show you another move that's going to help you build power in your grip for that great guard if it's open hand, because you should be able to fight with both the weapon and then what happens if they take it away from you, or if you drop it or you don't have it with you. You should also know how to throw some punches, get out of the way, move to the right, move to the left. But you're going to have strong grip. Maybe you're a grappler. If you do jiu-jitsu or judo, you're going to get a stronger grip from this next exercise. Starting with your hand in the middle. By the way, I always put tape there just to help me demonstrate to you where my hand is on the staff. It's also a good trick. No, it's not really a trick. Good tool to find the middle and then put your tape there so that you can always just instinctively find it while you're training. So what I'm doing, I'm just pinky to pinky, palms up, facing the sky. You're now going to go out one side and back to the other side. What this is doing two things for you. This is building more power in your grip, which will mean a stronger thrust, strike, hard strikes, because you have a stronger grip. By turning it out, you're creating more torque, more twist, more rotation. You bring it to a stop and push it the other way. So the first one was just side to side. The second one is now going to give you more speed. And the second reason you're going to do this, it's going to teach you how to go from one hand to the other hand without dropping your staff. Your hands come palm up. This is just practicing a basic transfer, But mostly I want you to do it to get really wicked strong grip to defend yourself. In the new year, this is a new year, how to self-defense against the knife. Number 2, we're working with the Japanese bow or the long martial arts staff. Maybe you use the Indian style, salambam. It's a little bit thinner staff, just as powerful, just as effective when you use these practical techniques. Now you're gonna see all kinds of moves done with martial arts staffs, like spinning, going behind the back, over the head. And I certainly have hundreds of videos teaching you that here. If you wanna look for those, type in my last name, Pasquinelli, Bow, B-O, and you're gonna find all those, right? But what I want you to learn today is how to self-defense against knife, practical, only things that work. We're not spinning in self-defense. Spinning is to build strength, speed, power, condition the body. It's like boxers jump the rope in practice, but they don't take the rope into the ring and fight the guy with the rope. It might be a tool for self-defense, but it's not part of boxing. It's part of boxing and training. But that's why, Happy New Year. Thank you. That's why we do this spinning in practice, not in self-defense. So let's go back to practical technique, because we're talking technique today, and then we're going to talk about principles. It'll make it all make sense if you haven't seen it already. Most of you know this already. You could teach the class instead of me. You get behind your staff, you point the thumb, thrust, that's number 1. Number 2, angular strike. I'm using both hands, and you don't want to be spinning, right? You're not going to be spinning, walking around, menacing the guy with a knife. The guy with a knife, he gets through, and spinning is the worst thing you can do for self-defense, because they can time it, they can stop it, they can lock it against your body, and your weapon becomes ineffective. You want to stand and wait and be ready. And how long do you wait? Let me show you this. This is how long. In self-defense, in this posture of self-defense, you're going to put the weapon between you and the threat. We're going to call this the threat. As soon as you see the threat, you create that distance. He now has to get around this length, couple feet. Season's greetings, Nick. Happy New Year. From here, how long do you wait before you do that strike, or that strike, or that strike, or that strike? Until the moment that this becomes real. Because you might think, I wonder if he has a knife. What if he's got a knife? Does he have a knife? Then you see it. As soon as you see it, you don't wait for him to lunge. You don't wait for him to slice or slash or stab. You don't wait for him to close the distance with that knife. As soon as you know that there's a knife, you see it, thrust, strike. When do you stop? The fight's over when you win. When he's on the ground, this is all self-defense, he's on the ground, the cops come, scoop him up, take him away, you go home safely. You're walking with your hiking stick, you feel the threat, sense the threat, he becomes a threat, then the knife. As soon as you see it, you're not gonna wait for him to take the next move. A lot of people make that mistake. That's the hesitation that gets you cut, gets you killed. From here, as soon as you see it, address it. Immediately respond. Don't react, but respond to the threat. From here, this is why we prepare. You prepare so you don't have to panic. You practice the way that you're going to defend yourself. If you ever have to. God forbid you ever have to. Maybe it never happens for you. This is a new year, new world, but I'd rather you be prepared than have to perish or panic. From here, you're walking, there's the threat, immediately thrust, and then you have the second angle strike coming down here, and add a backhand punch right into the middle of their face. What that will do, without letting go of your staff, what that's gonna do is create a horizontal strike. And where do you hit them? Whatever makes the most sense. In the face for self-defense. The shoulder, maybe it's the hand with the knife, breaking the ribs, breaking the hip, breaking the thigh, thrust, angular strike or diagonal strike. And where does this strike go? Head, shoulder, ribs, hip, striking and breaking the leg, and then bringing that other one straight through to end the fight. Yeah, I don't know. Is that a real thought? Is that a thought, or is that something that you've seen? I'm not sure. Good. Appreciate you being here. Welcome. Martial arts was made for us. Martial arts was originally made for adults. And if you're younger than an adult, it's made for you too. It's good for you. But originally, martial arts was not taught to kids. It was taught to soldiers, to guardians, to bodyguards, to people who were protecting their family. They wanted to be able to do that better. To the men and the women in the family. And then, like 1994, ADHD was invented. And then boom, everybody's got ADHD. And I'm mostly joking. And then that's when we started seeing a lot of younger and younger and younger kids. When I was a kid, the only reason I got to start martial arts at 9 is because I was a big kid. And they thought I was older. But now, it's like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds getting black belts. That's not right. Martial arts was made for adults first. It's good for kids. But when you're 66, 70, 80, 90 years old, it's still for us. It's still, so always remember that. Good morning. Happy New Year. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad we caught each other today. From here, so, live. Point the thumb, thrust, thrust. This one is the horizontal strike and then a vertical strike. So what I want you to learn are these basic moves. From here, yeah, it's tough times. Point the thumb, thrust, and this is how you practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you have a 4-strike combination, and you don't have to do them in those in that order, right? Because principles are going to kick in. We're going to talk principles at the end, but right now we're talking techniques. Salam. From here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Practice that 4-strike combination to get really good at striking. Then you can start from here. You can start with 2. You can start with 4. You can start with 1. And then, I think I got them out of order, but you know what I mean. So they don't have to necessarily go in the order that you practice them, but practice them, practice. Practice is preparation. Preparation gets you out of panic. If you don't prepare, then the knife comes out. Even if you have a stick, you're thinking, well, what should I do first? Should I do this? Should I try to block it? But no, if you learn how to, we'll talk about the grip. If you learn how to grab your stick, point the thumb, and stick it in their face, creating distance between you and the threat, and you've practiced that over and over and over again, that becomes instinctive. And how do we know that? When I was in the Marine Corps, I was a military policeman, and we would have these situations. That's where I busted the light. At the beginning of this video, rewind it, I busted the light. Yeah, we'll talk about the position. But the point is, when we would go to, as a military policeman, I would respond to fights, and they were always in the desert at the base. This was during the first Gulf War or whatever, and people were preparing to go over to Kuwait. And they would they would train for 2 weeks in the desert, they wouldn't have a shower bath, eat MREs every day, and have no sleep, and then they let them all drink the night before they got on a plane. How crazy is that? Yes, those will let you know if you made it work or not. Oh, thank you, Naj. I really appreciate that. To you too. But we would go to these fights, and you would see in the middle of this situation the self-defense that we trained over and over and over in boot camp, all the way through infantry school, and then the hand-to-hand combatives that we were practicing to go to war. The guys would just do them instinctively. So my point is, prepare or panic. If you prepare now and you get yourself into this position, point the thumb, practice thrust, try to visualize in your head, then that's going to happen more. It's below. It's like there's a sticker thing. It says stickers or something like that. Prepare or panic. That's the point. All right. So we're talking about grip, because your question is, how do you hold it? You have 2 choices, like you're doing push-ups, and this is effective. This works. This is good for blocking. This is also good for striking in very simple ways, right? From here, I can strike 1, 2. And it's extremely powerful. Almost broke the bag. Extremely effective. Just think of punching. And your hands are like this. And then you can also do that to the knees or the legs. You can do that to the middle of their body. And all that's going to work. And it's also not, in my opinion, as effective as just sticking it right in his face and making him have to get around it and thrusting straight in. So this is one way to hold it. in my opinion, the better way, and it's not better, it's better for self-defense, is like this. One palm up, one palm down. Now you can change in this position, changing. Yeah, ski means thrust, right? Like a spear. Thrust or spear. That's the romanization of the Japanese word ski. So from here, T-S-U-K-I. Now you have this ability to thrust and create distance. You can have your hand here and you can thrust from here. Bringing it in that way too. Oh, yeah, thanks, Nash. I want to show you something though. This just happened. And I recommend this hardwood staff. And I've been recommending it for a while now. But look at that. It just broke. When I was striking that bag. And that's very disappointing. But it's very disappointing because I don't want your staff to ever break. They do though. They do. They break eventually. I've had this for about a year now, and I've probably hit it against things, thousands of times, and eventually it's going to break. Now, this is an inexpensive option. This is a great way to get started. The link is below if you want to see this and other options. But I want to show you some other options. I got to change the staff too before I get a splinter in my hand. I don't mind getting splinters. I like taking them out. But I just wanted to show you that. They do break. And that one, that's that red oak that comes from China. It's probably come from somewhere in Asia. Maybe a lot of them come from Pakistan too. This one, Pakistan, Afghanistan, this is white oak. This one came from Colorado, and it's not as thick, but I've had this one for over 20 some years. Yeah, absolutely. And I could feel it. I mean, I felt it when it broke in my hand. I thought I broke the bag on the inside because I've done that too. I didn't realize I broke the staff until I felt it. But this one, I've hit a lot harder and a lot longer. And this one is very, very strong. It's strong and it's flexible, but it's made differently. The other one is just, greetings, thank you. Welcome, California. I've been there, Fontana. It's 3 pieces of wood, where the other one is just, it's probably not a sapling, but they cut down a piece of wood and then they put it on a lathe and then they made it round. And it's cheap wood and it dries out. And when they dry out, that's when they break. So that one's too dry. And they put a finish on it. So you'd have to this is an Aikido bow, which, is there such a thing as an Aikido bow? Yeah, if you invent it, it is. And if you look there, Bujin. Bujin was the company. Maybe you have an Aikido Bujin Joe or Bujin Boken. I have all 3. The other two, the Boken and the Joe, are up in. Yeah. This is a Bujin, the same company. Hiroshi Ikeda was the Aikidoki or whatever, the brilliant Aikido instructor. I hope he's still around. And the pants I'm wearing are actually Bujin designs, but whatever that, I think it's a German company bought them. They're not as nice as they used to be. But they used to make the best equipment you could get. I had all kinds of their gis until I wore them all out. And then all I have left are a few pairs of the pants. And they're newer ones. I don't like the tops, but the pants are perfect. Anyway, my point is the white oak made, and you get these are hard to find. These are better if you get them on, and it's not the same as white ash. White ash is going to be more flexible, and they're going to break. But white oak is not going to break, but you can find them. Oh, good. Yeah, a lot of those guys are still around. I've said this many times. Some of the best martial artists in the world are not on YouTube, right? We know that. I wish they were because they have so much to offer. But maybe it's better that you have to go find them. But this one, I know what you meant. This one is 3 pieces, and so it's cut, and then because they're cut, and then they can make them extremely straight. They stay straight, even if you put it in the corner. Don't ever don't store your staff in a corner because it'll bow. Either lay it flat on the ground, or find a way to get it to go straight up and down. Put it in, some against the corner. You can lean it against the corner like this. Just make sure, because the weight, gravity will bow your staff. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm gonna get some walking sticks and some hiking staffs and show you how to do all these same techniques, because you can use them all the same way. Anyway, this is a lot more expensive. I always say invest your time before you invest your money. So go to the link below and there's a lot of different options there. This is my favorite way for you to start if you've never done it before. And it's made out of rattan. So it's extremely flexible. And you can see that when I strike, right? And you can still use it for self-defense. It's not going to hit as hard as the hardwood because it's not as dense and it's not as heavy. But what you give up in that strength, you pick up in speed. So this thing moves so fast, almost like a whip. It's what collie sticks or eskrima sticks are made out of. This is below too. There's a link in that bow store, martial arts staff, in the link below. The first link, you can get one of these. This is a great way to get started. Now you will see things like this. The company that makes this sent it to me. I think they're still around. It's called, I'll have to think about it now. I can't remember it. But this is aluminum. And aluminum bends. Aluminum is a little heavier. You can see that it's less than an inch in diameter. And this is more for demonstration and fun, not for self-defense. So don't get one of those. For everyday practice, I would say start with rattan because you can get really fast first. I keep doing this because I wanted to show you. Spin it through your fingers, and that's going to help to heal your hands, give you stronger hands while you practice, because it's going to exercise your flexors, or the parts that open your hand. Almost lost the camera. Almost done though. I wanted to show you for practical self-defense, how to self-defense against a knife if it's in the backhand. And this is going to be similar to the Joe too. And this is the same for a hiking stick, a hiking pole, a walking stick, whatever it is that you want to say. Yeah. Amazing. One of the best companies ever, but that's kind of the sad thing about martial arts is it's all like so niche, it's all so small that only people who really understand the value of a great training weapon would invest their money. And it was good for Aikido because people in Aikido always paid more. And it was more esoteric martial art, more aesthetic. And they were more likely because they were, most people don't know this, Aikido attracted a more educated kind of person. They're big in the Vermont, a real granola kind of people. And they would invest in a really good bow and a really good, or gi, and the bow and the hakama, or hakama, however you want to say that, and boken, and they last forever. You get what you pay for. This one's going to be much less expensive. You're going to break it after 6 months to a year of striking with it, but then you get another one, and you're still less than if you buy the other one. The difference is with that one, I think I paid $80 for it, and I bought it from his school in Boulder. I remember I was driving. I had this Jeep. Yeah, I had a Jeep Cherokee, and I was living out of my car. I was traveling around the country. I was homeless for a while, but it was on purpose. It was intentional. Still didn't make it any easier because I'd eat ramen and I'd have to dig under. I'd do day labor jobs all over the country. I'd just go from place to place looking at martial arts schools, trying to find what didn't exist, only existed in my head. But I went to his school, and I remember I splurged and I bought the bow at the store. I had already bought the Joe and the Boken earlier, like a couple years before. And I watched a few classes and participated as a beginner. It's in the backhand. You're gonna lift it and point it. Now see what that does? That still gives me that reach advantage. The reason it might be in your backhand is because you're caught off guard and you have to respond quickly. You're walking down the path, you're walking to the street, you're walking to the bank, you're walking to the grocery store. I don't know if they'll let you have this in the grocery store, but he's got a knife you immediately either step in, I like to step in, or step back away from the threat. Either way, the principle remains the same. Now here's where principle comes into self-defense. The stick goes between you and the knife. The stick goes between you and the threat. Now from here, the first motion, think of a bayonet attack with a rifle, for those of you military people. From here, striking. Then you have angular strikes from the bottom, coming up to the face, to the ribs, through the legs, and then sliding your hands. And this is where I really like the length, again, because you're going to defeat the knife. How to self-defense against a knife attack? Have a long stick. So from here, I can strike, I can slide it here, smashing. I mean, that's with any piece of pipe, pole, maybe it's a golf club, maybe it's your umbrella, maybe it's a walking cane, hiking stick. He's got a knife. That's an extreme. I'm trying not to break my staff. I'm afraid it's going to break now. And it's okay if it does because I'll get new ones. But I'm on a budget right now because of the COVID. So from here, in the backhand, create distance, thrust, slide. See what I do with my hands? Thrust. And you can practice this. And this seems silly, but it's really not. It's just practicing moving up and down. And then from here, without taking your hand off of your staff or your bow or your Chinese gun or the bang or the cudgel or your jangbong, if you're using the Korean style, just walk your hands from side to side. Maybe it's the salam bomb, right? And your hands come out and they come in, they come out, they come in, they come out. And then practice this. And then, if you want, you can build more speed, more power, more strength, coming over from side to side, back and forth, again and again, pushing faster, going fast. And all I'm doing is this, one hand up, one hand down. This is how you're striking with it anyway. The hand that's up is going to push, and the hand that's down, it's going to roll over the back. That's a wrist roll. So from here, was that the one that was like in a, the one that I went to? This must have been 96, maybe? I don't know why I'm thinking 96. 1996. It was in a kind of like an industrial park because I got my Jeep stuck. It was snowing. And I'm stuck in this like puddle of mud and ice and water. And someone pulls up next to me. And he's looking at me. He said, "Don't you have four-wheel drive in that thing?" And I thought, yeah, I do. I put it in four-wheel drive, drove right out. I don't know, it was a stressful time. I was living out of my car. It didn't occur to me to put my four-wheel drive Jeep into four-wheel drive and get out of the hole. Yeah, Boulder. Yeah, it was beautiful. You had a big shrine to the founder, O-sensei. What's his name? Ueshiba? Morihei Ueshiba, something like that. So you're going over and back. That's a true story. It's like when I was stationed at 29 Palms in the Marine Corps. I used to get those trucks. I was a military policeman, and I'd have desert patrol. And I'd get my truck stuck almost every day. It was like a challenge. I'd see how bad I could get it stuck and how fast I could get it. See if I get it by the end of the watch and not get in trouble. And one time I did get in trouble. And the watch commander, the gunny, tough man. When I was younger, all of the gunnery sergeants, all the people that age, all the drill instructors were Vietnam vets. And a lot of them Vietnam and Korea War. And they were just tough as nails, right? Combat tough. And Gunny Miller got on the radio. And he said, "Are you stuck again?" Because he knew I was getting stuck. And it was stupid. I mean, it was immature. I was not supposed to be doing that. I had a real job to do. And he said, "I want you to fill every, what did he say? Every pocket in your cover." And the Marine Corps cover is a hat. Fill your cover full of sand. I want to feel the quality of the sand to determine whether it was legitimate, you getting stick was legitimate, or if you were just messing around again. And I said, everyone. So I come back and I'm all steaming, young kid, full of energy and hormones and embarrassed and mad and rage and standing right in front of his desk. And I had, those old camo pockets everywhere. And I had sand in every single pocket because I knew what he was talking about. And my cover, which has, the little holes on the side and the sand's pouring out, which he made me clean up, of course, full of sand. I'm standing there embarrassed and looking like an idiot that I was. And he took up a little bit of sand out of each one. And he's like, yep, I could see where you get stuck in that. I never did it again. It was a good lesson to learn. I was very embarrassed. But that's, good gunnery sergeants were like that. I'm sure maybe there's still some out there. They don't need to beat you up. They need to make you beat yourself up. Learn your lesson so you stop making the same mistake over and over again. I can picture the whole thing clearly in my head now. I could never got stuck that I couldn't get unstuck though. But it was a lot of digging, and I don't know why. It was dumb, but I liked doing it. It's like a challenge. And if you've ever done desert patrol, it is boring out there. All right, so it's just a wrist roll, and the purpose is to increase strength in your hands at that speed. And watch what I do when my hand goes across. I keep this hand in contact with the other hand, and then I slide it back on the staff. I'm not going to take the hand off like that. I want to train sliding hands. So I always want to be in contact with the staff. That's the basic point. Stay in contact with your staff. That's going to build strength. And then when you go into your striking for self-defense, you're not going to lose the grip on your staff. And when you need to change positions so that this side is now forward, you're going to do it like this. Not like this. This is always going to be wrong. It's always going to be this. And you want to practice. You want to get stronger and faster. Good. Yeah. And then work on your thing. 2 more exercises real quick. Because you asked me last time, how do you get the pain out of your elbows? Do this with your fingers. And they might not be this flexible yet, but I'm just pulling and shaking a little bit. I want circulation in there and stretch, flexibility. And I'm going to do that for about 30 seconds per hand at the end of each workout, just to finish it right. And then here, you're going to just extend your elbow. And it might not be this flexible. It might be more flexible. And you're just going to hold it. Make sure your shoulder's not up. Keep it down. Breathe. Get as much oxygen in your blood as possible. Oxygen gets in there, and it starts to heal it and make it stronger. Breathe. Heal it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you.